Alright guys, I am super excited for this. I dressed up for the occasion. This is one of the titles that I've been waiting for the longest. I think since even before I started working with JP. I had heard about it, I had never read it, but now we're getting the absolute Dark Knight Metal. Dark Knight's Metal, as you can see here. So this is the absolute. I think the hardcover has been taken out, but and the omnibus comes out, I believe, next year. But this is the absolute. They took it out, and I'm super excited for this, guys. So let's take a look. This is the front of it. The spine has that where it says this way or the other way? This way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Knight's Metal.
Apparently they're making an absolute Dark Knight Death Metal.
Yes.
Absolute coming out, I think, spring of 2023.
Yeah, and that's going to be exciting too because that's after this story. So it's definitely different stories, but they are connected. So I'll talk about that a little bit. Now let's take a look at the book. Oh, look at that. Very nice. So it's like almost silvery there. Here's the spine. And the back, they could have put something, but it's just kind of like the same picture, just without the logo at the front. Very cool. All right, let's take a look underneath. And, you know, guys, I consider the Absolutes to be the pinnacle, like the tip of the top for any comic books. Usually, of course, you have bigger books like the library edition or the exhibitions or the galleries. But those are usually just to show off the artwork. For the stories, the Absolute are the best, you know, in my humble opinion. And this one doesn't disappoint. I love that since it's all metal based. All right, so let's jump in. Now, just as letting you guys know, I'm going to do a real quick first look of it, and I will let you know when I'm going to actually do the deep dive. I'm just going to do both of them right now since I read all of this. So let's take a look inside for the first look. All right, guys, and like I said before, to me, Absolutes are the pinnacle for reading and for collecting because not only do you get the bigger artwork and the bigger format, but you also get the higher quality artwork and paper. This paper is thick. I don't know if you can see it, but it's thick. It's semi-glossy. It looks really, really good. And the black looks really well, as you can see it like that. I even had to change the lights, guys, because it's kind of actually it's actually glossy. I had to change the lights because the overhead lights were giving it a glare. So I had to put spotlights on the side so that I can read this without having to worry about it, and for you to be able to really look at the color on this and like really admire it. So again, format is great on this. It's thick paper. It feels like high quality paper, and I love that with the Absolutes. And okay, so it doesn't have like a color thing. But yes, let's take a look. So real quick, just a first look at it. The pages are bright, they're colorful, and if you've read this story, it's a really interesting event. I wasn't really. I was going in it blind. I'm going to be honest with you. I went in it blind. I read it a couple days ago, so I was excited for this event. And you know what? I'm actually going to say I am not disappointed. It was really fun. Let me show you the extras in the back before I jump into the deep dive, which include a lot of the variant covers, and these are all really, really nice. And in the, of course, Absolute format, you get that high quality paper, that high quality ink, and it looks great. So let's take a look at that. But yeah, I read this whole the whole story. I was missing. I haven't read some of the extras like Resistance and I believe The Rising of Dark Knights, which is another like book in itself, but that's not included here. So this book only includes, let me tell you right now, Dark Knight's Metal number 1 through 6, Batman Lost number 1, and Dark Knight's Rising: The Wild Hunt number 1. So there are other Dark Knight's Rising books, or that tell stories, but this one only has The Wild Hunt number 1. But yeah, like I said, look, the Joker Who Laughs, or the Batman Who Laughs, is, I want to say, one of the most iconic guys that have come out in comics in recent history. I don't think any other ones had such a big impact. And not only that, but the design on him is insane. I'm not going to spoil it too much. Just wait for the deep dive on that. But very, very cool. I really like this character. I think he's a great counter to Batman, the regular Batman. So, his design is really cool as well. And I like that he has those Robins in chains. And then it also comes with like a character sketchbook, and it kind of gives you a little bit of the knights, the Dark Knights that you see here, as well as a little bit of the bio of them. I'm not going to give you too much. I'll go into that one later. And then it gives you the sketches by Greg Capullo, and it's basically the first chapter, but in his pencil sketches. So it's really cool. All right. There you go. So that is the Absolute. Oh, and then it has the Sandman. So, if you want to know more of that, I'm about to do the deep dive. This is the first look. So, again, right now I'm giving you, if you haven't read it, I would say read it before I give you the deep dive. Or, you want to just read it, you can do that as well. But I don't want to spoil it for you. So, letting you know now, there's spoilers. I'm shaking my hand so you know. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, this event is a Scott Snyder writer, as well as Greg Capullo, who is the artist. So I know they really did a great job when they had their run of Batman, and then I'm glad that they did this story as well. And let's jump in now. Before this event, there is a lot of tie-ins. There is an insane amount of tie-ins leading to the Dark Knights metal event. You have to kind of read a little bit of Court of Owls, which I read, again, all of Court of Owls. I also read all of Batman Endgame, which is an event that happened. It was a little event. This is the Return of the Joker. It also, you have to read a little bit of the DC Rebirth event that happened, as well as a little bit of the end of Justice League, which is the Darkseid War. So you have to read all of those to kind of get a full picture of it, and I'll tell you about that. But basically, I reread all of those just so I can give you a updated version of this, or a more in-depth version. So you got you know what? I'm so sorry. You also have to read Final Crisis. You have to read the end of Final Crisis. The Batman, when he comes back from the Final Crisis event, you also have to read that, because all of that is tied into that as well. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah. So a lot of those, like that, I guess it's been leading since that event to this, and that's really cool. I really like how all of that is taken into account when this book was or when the story was written. Okay, so you got the tribes here, and then it starts off with the Justice League fighting in Mongol's war world, and they're fighting these robots that are made or designed to attack them individually, and they're not really doing anything. Batman's like, well, we have to jump in, we have to let them take us. And basically, you can remote control the robots, and they combine, and basically they get to defeat Mongol. They say it there, yeah. So they beat him. They're flying home, and when they get home, Alfred's like, there's something that's happened in Gotham. When he gets there, a giant mountain has basically decimated the city, and it's landed right on top of basically downtown. Gotham, and Batman's like, what's going on? He kind of does know, but everybody's like, we got to see what's going on. There's a bunker in there. They find the bunker. They go in, and basically they find this pod right here with people in it, and they're like, what's going on? And then you basically meet Lady Black Hawk, which her name is Kendra Saunders, who is basically Hawkgirl, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So she takes her to she takes them to Black Hawk Island, and she kind of explains what's going on with the mountain. Basically, the nth metal. If you know the nth metal, it's actually the ninth metal, and she explains how she's been living for an insane amount of time. She's part of this immortal people that go into the multiverse and kind of protect it. And that they are trying to protect it from a dark multiverse that exists. So basically, if this is the multiverse at that time with 52 universes in it, then basically on the flip side is a dark multiverse that sits underneath it. So like the regular universes, there's a matter, antimatter, but then there's also a third material, which is dark energy. So that's where that universe comes from. And basically says that there is I want to say a dark god, a deity from there that's trying to jump into this world to basically destroy it. And his name is Barbados. In Spanish, it's Barbatos. I like that better, so I'm gonna call him Barbatos. And basically, he needs a human doorway to get in there. And they're like, Batman is the you know the doorway to get through. It's been told in the prophecies that Wayne, Batman, will be the one who will let him in. And that's why they took him in there so that they could capture him. And Red Tornado breaks free. They're trying to get out. Batman's like leaving. He's like, I gotta leave. And basically what do you call it? I would say the Dark Knights come through, and then you have Batman. So Batman has actually been investigating this thing for a long time, and it's actually noted in. He talks about it during the Court of Owls. He also talks about it in Batman Endgame. That he's been there's been a mystery or something has been bothering him since he came back from the past, where he was sent over by Darkseid using his Omega Sanction, and it's been calling to him. So he's been trying to figure out what's going on. So then he finally finds this book that was written by Carter Hall, who is Hawkman, if you don't know, and then you get Dream of the Endless. So if you saw Sandman, this is basically Dream. That's the same character, and so that's really cool. I wasn't expecting to see Dream in this book, but he shows up, and he actually helps them. And basically, he it's kind of gonna show Batman a little bit of what's gonna happen to him. But at the same time, everybody's hunting Batman because they need to stop him. They're like, oh, we gotta keep you safe. What's going on? So they're all hunting him. But of course, Batman has his Bat family that's kind of keeping track of him or helping him not get caught. Even this one, when Superman catches him, he's like, I hear your heartbeat. I know it's you. And basically, he says, what's going on? So he's talking about heavy metal. That was the Kendra Saunders was talking about. Basically, he has been being groomed to that event. So with the Court of Owls, it even says it on here, he has to drink the Electrum, which was what used to bring back the Talons. And then during the Endgame event, he had to get some of Dionysium. Basically, is how the Joker came back to life, which is kind of like the Lazarus Pits, but not really. So that's how he was able to come back, because he was basically dead with the Joker threw the card at him. If you haven't read it, this is Court of Owls. This is Endgame. The Prometheum is the final machine, which was used to make me Batman after he died. So that also goes with this event. And then the Nth Metal is when he used it to look into the dark matter himself, and that was also in part of the. Oh shoot! I forgot which one it was. I think it was dark. There was a prequel to this that showed that part. So basically, he's been getting these metals in him, and they just need one last thing for him to be able to open the doorway. And Batman, he's telling all this, and he's like, "You guys can come help me." And then Wonder Woman's like, "This is not really him." So Superman punches him through. It turns out it was Clayface the whole time, and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe he's doing this." Kendra Summers goes over to basically where the immortal people live, and these people have all been here for millenniums, basically. Even Ra's al Ghul is there, and he's the youngest one of all of them. Okay, so basically he follows Carter Hall's journal, where we cut off on the last time, looking for him, and he takes him to the tomb of Prince Khufu, and he's trying to find, I guess, the information on Baratos or the mace. And when he gets there, it looks like the girl or Superman and Wonder Woman got there as well. And then he's like, I'm here. You got to stay back. I'm going to use this. So this is actually, like, again, Darkseid War. This takes place into it, because that's basically Darkseid. If you don't know, that's baby Darkseid. You have to read Darkseid War to figure that out, or to get more information on that. I'm telling you, you have to read all of these things that happen to it. So basically, these high priests, it was a trap. And it was actually the tomb of Haset, which, if you don't know, it's like the bat god of Egypt. And, oh, look, it has a bookmark. So basically, the high priest, which is called the Strigidae, wanted to do that to capture Batman and finally put in the last metal, which is called Batmanium. And they finally get it on Batman, and it basically sends him to the Dark Universe. and then it brings back it opens up the universe for Barbatos, as you see, as well as his Dark Knights. So these are all basically. So I'm gonna give you a little story about these. These are all basically Batmans or Bruce Waynes from their universe that got corrupted. So the Dark Universe, just kind of short summary. Every fear that you have in the regular universe, the Dark Universe has a counter world that comes true. So anything like they feared on the counter universe actually happened, but those worlds were supposed to get destroyed by Barbatos because he was the forger of he was supposed to destroy the Dark Worlds, but instead he didn't. So you got all these Batmans from those universe, basically Aquaman, Superman, Cyborg, of course, the Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and then Hal or Green Lantern. Okay, so he basically drains them or shocks them, and that's kind of where this ends. Next up, you have this chapter. Now between here, there are some stuff in like Resistance that you have to read, but anyway, so Superman is dreaming basically that he's fighting Barbatos in a lot of worlds, and he keeps dying, and he keeps coming back, and then finally Wonder Woman takes him out. He's like, because they use them to make like these batteries to bring the Dark Universe bring Earth into the Dark Universe. And as you can see here, it's been like infecting a lot of people. So he's like, I'm gonna go fight him. And when he's trying to do that, he gets hit by basically his version of Batman, and it ends up in Crime Alley. As you can see there, it's like snowing because the rogues have taken over, and Mr. Freeze rules that area. Then you got the Batman Who Laughs coming over here, and they're all kind of just beating on him. Like all of them are just beating up on Superman, and then they're about to, basically kill him when the Flash comes and takes him to the Oblivion Bar, which is basically one of the only safe places left in the universe, and all the other superheroes are there. It's only been a week since he's been gone, or since he got knocked out, and basically they're all haggard. They've been fighting forever, they've been fighting for the last week or so, but they've been fighting a losing battle, with all the different things. Now this is all covered, of course, in with Dark Knight's metal, the Resistance. And she's like, we have to find the last remaining bits of Nth metal to fight Baratos and try to not, stop the world from being taken over into the Dark Universe. And they find out that three things are helping them right now. It's Mr. Terrific's balls, Dr. Fate's helmet, and Steel's hammer, basically. Those can help them find more of the Nth metal since it's connected to that. And then Superman's like, I'm gonna go into the Dark Universe to go help Superman, and then everybody's like, no, that's dumb. But he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. Finally, they do find him, so they have to run away. And when they're running away, the Batman Who Laughs comes in. They split up into the teams to go look for it. And as you can see here, that's where the teams are. Superman, Flash, and Steel decide to go through the Phantom Zone, since it's kind of next to the Dark Universe, so they can try to get through there. So they do this thing where he runs, and they use this tuning fork to get to it, and Superman turns into gold, and he jumps through into the Dark Universe. And as he goes through, it was basically, they knew they were going to do that, so it's a trap. And in the Dark Universe, he lands in this battery. Basically, this battery is what's pulling the Earth towards the Dark Multiverse. And they capture him, and they put him into the battery. Oh, and basically all of the other Supermen from the other Dark Universe or the Dark Multiverse pull him into it, and they stop him, and they basically put him into the battery. So that's how that one ends. This is Batman Lost, which kind of tells you what happened at Batman. Even though he went into the Dark Universe, he's kind of been living some nightmares, and it just kind of gives you a little bit of what's happening to him. As you can see here, this girl, I don't remember who she is, but basically she's telling him since he went back in time, Barbato has had his eye on him, and he's been working to make him into the gate, including when the whole Court of Owls event that happened. That has been part of the whole Barbatos story as well, and it's kind of showing you dark universes in the multiverse, in the dark multiverse that he has lost, or that he wasn't able to be a hero, and that's what's happening here. You can see a lot of it is him going back with his in his past or in his ancestors' past. So it just jumps around because he's having bad dreams or nightmares from Barbatos, and he's trying to get out. And basically, Barbatos is showing him all the dark universes where he, failed as a superhero and became a villain. And it shows a bunch of the different ones. And this looks so good. As you can see, it looks really good. Man, these absolute editions are great for this. And then it kind of shows a little bit of like what the Dark Knights are, are part of. And he just ends up back in the battery as well. All right. Okay, so then here you have, in the Dark Multiverse, Batman gets saved by his nightmare, or Superman's nightmares. I guess they saved Batman. I'm not sure why. But basically, as he's doing that, he decides to fight against them, and then... What happened here? Oh, yeah, that's where he calls Daniel the, Sandman, and he calls him, and Sandman takes him into his realm. And then you see the other heroes here are fighting. They're trying to get to the metals to try to stop the Earth from being drawn into the Dark Multiverse. Green Lantern goes to Thanagar Prime because there's some metal there, and he finds this guy. And then you have Supreme Starro, who they kind of kidnap them. And then Batman and Superman end up in the dream world, or dream, realm of, the Dream, or Sandman, however you want to call him. And he's kind of telling them that, the stories of Barbatos coincides with basically all the books in his library, and kind of gives them a short history about it, about the matter and the antimatter and the dark universe. And then I'm just going to read it real quick. This being or Barbatos resided in the world forged deep in the rolling cauldron of possibility you call the Dark Multiverse. For eons, it hammered out universes from the hopes and fears of all living things. The most stable worlds rose into the orrery. For the twisted, unstable worlds, the Forger had a great dragon to destroy them and return their energies to the Forge. Barbatos was the great dragon. But the dragon, a being who knew only destruction, killed its master, and thus worlds that should have been dissolved lived on, and the Forge began to darken. So that's where you get that whole multiverse and all the Dark Knights. They're actually universes that should have been destroyed because they were unstable, but the Dark Dragon, which was Barbatos, who was supposed to destroy them, instead killed the World Forger and decided to let them live, and the Forge began to darken. So he's like, if there's any hope, then you have to find the last pure bright metal of possibility, before the fire goes out. And then basically he says you have to go into the Dark Forge and find a shred of possibility, a shred of hope in there. So he kind of sends them their way, and the only way they can go through is with hope. So they go through. Wonder Woman's over here in the world. I think this is called the World Rock or something like that. And it could destroy the entire universe, both the light, the regular universe and the multiverse and the Dark Multiverse. And while she's doing that, then the nth metal takes over for her and turns her into Lady Black Hawk. And she starts fighting Shazam, and it looks like Shazam, hits Dr. Fate, disintegrates him, I'm guessing, yeah. And he's like, I made a deal with Barbatos that he'll leave my country alive if I stop you guys. And then Batman and Superman are on a journey. They're going through the Forge of Worlds, basically where the universes get created. And when he gets there, they find that Carter Hall, or Hawkman, was turned into the Great Dragon, and he's been kind of guarding it. So Barbatos had planned for that. He had planned for them to show up there, and you can see them. They're fighting there. Oh no! They're kind of going through their nightmares. Crime Alley, the Ken farm being destroyed, and they're like, we have to jump into the forge to find any last hope of possibility. And then here, the Green Lantern had been taken over by Starro, or, to control his mind. Turns out Martian Manhunter had been investigating this as well, and he helps them to get loose. Wonder Woman's like, oh, I'm going to fight you, Black Adam. So she fights him. And then when she's fighting them, she finds the mace of Hawkman, hits him in his face. Dang. I don't know if he took out his eye, but yeah. And while she's there thinking about that, she gets shot. Blam! Who did she get shot by? The Batman Who Laughs. This guy is crazy. Like, seriously, he's like one step in front of all of them. Like, he was expecting all of them to do that. And then he basically said that he actually wanted them to go to those locations. And he had sent everybody over there to stop them. Each of them had their part to play. He stops her, basically. Aquaman is stopped by Black Manta, who has also made a deal with Barbatos so that he can rule the ocean after, the universe is rebuilt. And he brings over some more of the Dark Knights. And then Green Lantern is over here with them. And while they're trying to get this egg, which is actually Plastic Man as an egg, because his cells are also part of the metal. And they basically have to point a gun at the Dark Multiverse to try to blow it up. But instead, more of the Dark Knights come. And then turns out that they all, they basically all get beaten up. And it shoots it towards the Earth to finally push it into the Dark Multiverse. And Batman and Superman jump into the World Forge to try to find hope. And then as Wonder Woman's laying there, and then they're kind of dying. She hits Lady Blackhawk with her lasso of truth and brings her back to remember who she is. And so what they decide to do is they decide to jump into the crystal, and it goes into the Dark Universe, basically. And then you kind of get to see a little bit of the Dark Universe, which is crazy because it's basically all of their evil versions or all of their fears turned into light. So this is Wonder Woman as Cheetah. This is Wonder Woman, I believe, as Shazam, maybe, possibly, but she has lightning and she's in all black. And then these guys they're burning, and she decides to fight because she's, that's the only thing she likes. She likes to fight. The Riders on the Razor is kind of a little information on Bobo the monkey, or the detective Bobo, and just kind of his history, what happened to him, and it leads to this where it shows him fighting or trying to find, I guess a way to stop the Dark Multiverse from taking over, and you also see a little bit of the Flash, Cyborg, and Raven. Writing the multiverse, the Ultima Thule, which is a multiverse spanning craft. They're trying to find the House of Heroes, which is at the center of the universe. And then you have the Dark Knights kind of hunting them. And when you get over here, so this Flash or the Red Death is basically Batman and Flash combined in the Speed Force. And when they go through they have to basically a universe is being born, so he grabs that energy, the Flash grabs that energy and hits the Red Death with it, so it basically reverses polarity, and he becomes basically I'm going to call him the Golden Flash or the Golden Death, and it's basically he has two personalities. Batman has taken over, but he has Barry's powers. Well, it flips it, so it's Barry now fully in control, and he's helping the Flash to try to stop the rest of the Dark Knights. And they're fighting there, but then the Batman Who Laughs, I'm serious, this guy's insane. He was prepared for that eventuality, so he shoots torpedoes, or he shoots these torpedoes at them that basically are baby Dark Multiverse or Dark Universes from the Dark Multiverse that reverse it, and then since there's two opposite forces, they even though opposite forces attract, this one pushes it aside, and he basically gets ripped up. So Red Flash is dead, or Red Death is dead. Red Death is dead, and he had been planning on that to use that ship to basically throw it into the House of Heroes, where the center of the multiverse was, to destroy it, and he shoots it. And then turns out that there is a 53rd universe that saves them, as you can see there. And they're like, ready to save the universe, Bobo. Hey! All right. Whew, man, this is long. I hope you guys are still with me. I hope I've been keeping it interesting. So you got Barbatos, and he's bringing in the world. It's coming in. All the superheroes have already been beaten, as you can see there. And all you have is Wonder Woman fighting, and she's fighting like all of like the dark multiverse versions of guys. Like this is, it looks like the Yellow Lantern. What's his name? You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, and he has like a mouth in his hand, in his chest, and you got like Darkseid over here, and then some other characters like a Superman and Wonder Woman, like different versions of Wonder Woman, and they're fighting them. They're just basically trying to get to the mountain to stop Barbatos, but they're not making any leeway. Look at this Wonder Woman with a bullhead. So then she decides to grab the medal from the 9th medal and then the 8th medal, which is her wrist gauntlets, and she hits them, bam, to call the Justice League, and they wake up and they start fighting. They're like, we gotta stop this. And then they're like, Plastic Man, you have to like come out. You're our only hope. So he comes out swinging. He has like, it's funny because he says, all right, I'll tell you this. Look, Mr. Terrific is like, Plastic Man, I know you can hear me. Now is the time. I get that you're afraid. You'll lose control, but you can do this. Please form a dinosaur, a bulldozer, a damn shark, anything. And he's like, okay. All of the above. So he has like a dinosaur and shark fingers and a bulldozer, chests or hammers. Anyway, Plastic Man can transform into anything. So he basically starts fighting them. So, the dark multiverse bad guys. He starts fighting them. And Diana's like, I have to jump into the World Forge to look for Superman and Batman. And she jumps in. And then she sees, of course, Carter Hall, who's going to, like, try to hurt her. But then Kendra calls him, and he's like, oh, he remembers who he is. And Barbatos says, no, not today, bro. And he hits him with lightning. Pow! And then the 53rd universe comes into play. They went and grabbed heroes as well to help fight them. And this is really cool, because I know most of these Batman. This is Batman from The Dark Knight Returns. The comic book. This is from the Red Sun Batman. That's what he looks like. Then you have Batman who's a vampire. Then you had Batman, I think Batman 1800s, stuff like that. So that's Batman. Each of these are different stories from Batman. So that's really cool. And they come to help. Diana finally lands in the World Forge along with, looking for Batman and Superman. And, everybody's getting beaten. And then she says, oh, I can answer that. And she pulls out, Wonder Woman pulls out Batman and Superman wearing the 10th metal armor, basically. And it's super powerful. They are all shiny and such. So he's like, everybody come, kill them. Barbatos. Batman punches the Joker dragons in the face, and then he rides it. That's pretty funny. And then so he grabs some of the 10th metal. And so this is pretty cool. Look, I'm going to tell you this. So they say the 8th metal is the stuff of gods. The 9th metal uses dark energy to give its carriers power that defy physics. But the 10th is called Element X, is metal of the so-called forge itself, the metal of pure possibility. They say whoever wields it, let his first words be recorded forever in the halls of kings. So he throws it at Aquaman and a Green Lantern, and basically it gives them the armor, and they're able to fight back. For this metal can take the shape of whatever is needed, arm whoever the bearer wishes, so they might cut through the dark and bring their will to life. So that's really cool. And so they start fighting, and they're like, we have to get all the heroes and everybody in the world who is using, is being used as a battery. We have to combine them or connect them so that everybody has a little bit of metal in them. They can all connect and push the world back into the regular multiverse instead of into the dark multiverse. And then, Carter Hall or, Hawkman comes out, and he's like, oh, he remembers who he is. So he starts hitting him, and they're fighting. And then we have the final plan, basically, and you have the Batman who laughs, and he has the Over Monitor, which, if you don't remember the Over Monitor, he's kind of, it's from like the Final Crisis events. He's super powerful. He's a cosmic being, and he watches over the whole multiverse. And basically, they have him trapped. So they're going to use him to blow up the world, basically. They're going to destroy everything. That's the idea, with his positive energy and the negative energy from the Anti-Monitor's astral brain that they have, and dark energy, which is him, will blow apart the realm above, the entire, basically, multiverse, everything. And then Batman comes in, as you can see there. So he's this is really cool because he's like, "Oh, you call this the Batcave?" I'm gonna say it in my Batman voice. "Oh, you call this a Batcave?" So then basically they start fighting, kind of man to man, because where they're at kind of negates any of the powers that both of them have. So they start fighting. As you can see there, it's a pretty bloody fight. But then this basically is a Batman who didn't have any sort of ethical limits or moral dilemma. So he's okay with killing, and he carries around the gun that killed his parents, and he kills people with it. So he's gonna shoot Batman, as you can see there. So he's like, "I know all your moves. We're evenly matched, but I have no quarrel of killing you or using, any sort of cheating thing. So I'm gonna kill you." He's about him, and then Batman says, "Just fire the damn gun." And then the other one's like, I'm glad you finally see it." But then he wasn't talking to him. Bam! He's talking to the Joker. So basically, the Joker is there to help him, and it's a good old-fashioned three-way fight, basically. So they are basically fighting. Both of them are fighting this guy, which is funny because, little side note, the Batman who laughs is basically the Joker Batman, and in his world, he finally decides to kill the Joker, and when he does, it releases a toxin that turns Batman into the Joker. So he basically, just imagine Batman and the Joker combined in together. That's who this guy is, and that's why he's the most feared, the most troublesome, because he can predict Batman's intelligence, but he also has the insanity of the Joker, so he can predict stuff like that too. So they're kind of fighting him, and he's like, "I bet you guys, out of all the possibilities, I didn't think you would believe that we would work together." And there's a funny thing, because they're fighting, and Batman says, "To be clear, we never speak of this." So he's like, "Nope, never gonna tell anybody we fought together." So they like cut off his fingers, and they are basically beating him. And over here, they're finally, turning the tide against the Dark Knights. Green Lantern's hitting the Cyborg Superman, the Cyborg Batman. Darkseid Batman's getting beat by Superman. The Aquaman Batman is getting killed, and Carter Hall is unfortunately down for the count. And Barbato's like, "Let them come," and he's about to kill, Hawkman, when Lady Hawkbird, whatever, Blackbird, goes through his chest, and Batman takes away the Over Monitor while the Joker's still fighting him, and they take him away, and he's like, "You have to come together. Basically, you have to come together, everybody, and you have to connect to basically bring up the world from the Dark Universe." And so they do. They all get together along with everybody. They connect with all the people. They connect with everybody together. And, they use their nth metal power, or metal, the armor, to bring back to bring the world back, but also to expand the multiverse. And they break through the Source Wall. So that's really interesting, because that sets up things in the next event. And then this is the epilogue. So, as you can see, I kind of felt like this was, I didn't see a lot of really good fights. I wish I would have seen more fights, but I know they're trying to move the story along. So you got the epilogue, and basically they're all together kind of, celebrating. Barbatos is basically put into the bottom of the Dark Multiverse by the Over Monitor himself. And basically they restored balance to it, and they're just talking about how, with them doing that, it also brought back, or opening the Source Wall, it opened up the possibilities for other, creations. And as you can see there, it also, since the 10th metal, or the element X, works on the realm of possibility, basically. It also brings back, like, they kind of put their will into it, and it also brought, for example, Atlantis Rose and Green Lantern, or it's a Dark Stars, Wonder Woman, Dark Pantheon, stuff like that. So it definitely is setting it up for future events. But they're like, you know what, we can worry about that tomorrow. Today we celebrate, and basically they have a concert, and it's Damien and Superman's kid, I think, and they're playing. And Batman says, "I have a plan for the future," and then it kind of ends like that. So that's where it ends. And there you got the covers. So that is Dark Knight's Metal. So yeah, very, very cool event. I was like I said, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I like it. It's I know I didn't mention it, but a lot of it has to do with like musical references because it's metal, and even this right here, at the beginning is if you didn't notice it, it's a hand going like this. Other hand, but like this, like metal. You see the thumb? This is the thumb, the fingers, and the hand. You see it? Metal. So like even they make references to music, like the Barbatos is like the anti-music, and with his scream, like it would bring the multiverse, so they have to stop it, and so it's really cool. So it definitely, I like how even though Batman is like is a central character, he's not really like the hero the whole time. I would say Wonder Woman really kind of saved the day, believing in both of them to go get her, to go get them. But everybody played a part, and I like that. I like events that it's not just central on one character. All of them play parts in it. So you have like Superman going down to fight, to get Batman. So you get to see that. You get Batman's trying to find the mystery of the metals, and Wonder Woman, as well as like the different aspects of Hal Jordan, Aquaman, all of them coming together to fight this. So I really liked that. That was really cool. I kind of felt like I wish there would have been more fighting at the end. Personally, I felt like from where they come out with the armor to the restoration is a little bit. So I know there was a lot of build up to it, which I get. I just kind of wish we got a little bit more of them fighting the Dark Knights. I didn't feel like it was very satisfying, and we never saw what happened with the Joker, the Batman Who Laughs, which it's gonna come up. Just letting you know. So that's interesting. I understand that this was also kind of set up, so it's gonna affect, like, for example, death metal is another one. I know it's another big event that actually this is kind of like the first part I would say to that. So I know it also has to do with that. But overall, I think it was a great story. It was a great read. You kind of, like I said, I had to read the other parts to really fully understand it. But they kind of give you a brief synopsis of it whenever they're telling you about the different metals. But the other stories really add to it if you read them, because you're like, oh, I remember that event. The Court of Owls, Batman was stuck under the maze, and he had to drink the water, which was used to bring back the talents. So I understand how he was able to, why that was affecting him. Same thing with Endgame. Oh, him and Joker fought to the death, and they were both dying underneath Gotham. And there was that Dionysium, or whatever it's called. So that was how they could come back to life. So Batman used that. So it definitely brings back different stories. Even the metal the event from Final Crisis, where he was taken back in time by Darkseid's Omega Sanction. So you get a little bit of that. Oh, that Barbatos had been preparing him since that time. So definitely that callback is really cool. I like those events that call back from other events that happened. So I thought that was really cool. The art on this is amazing. Greg Capullo does a great job on all of these. Easily one of my favorite artists. Ever since he did him and Scott Snyder's run of Batman, I thought it was great, and this does not disappoint. I was satisfied with all of the artwork. It looks great. He does a great job of it, and you can definitely see that he took the time to make these designs really well, and to just put the love into the story. So I really, really enjoy that. I think they had a lot of fun. This is one of the most fun events. It was like a big event that happened, but I feel like it wasn't too serious. It opened up the dark multiverse, which is great for future events, but it also was a lot of fun. I think they had a lot of fun with it, and you can tell with that in the story and with the drawings that they had a lot of fun with it. So I really, really enjoyed it. And of course, I'm a DC guy, so I thought anything that expands the DC universe is great to me. So I really like that. And you got some great artworks. You get some great, little cameos like Sandman, and then other cameos from like the 53rd universe, the different Batman that are in it, the different Wonder Women. That's all cool. I'm glad that that's all hinted on here as part of different multiverses. And then you also got one of the coolest, easily one of my favorite bad guys, which is the Batman Who Laughs, and it's such a cool character, and you get to see that as well. So also, let me give you a little bit of the bad guys, just so you know. And I'm sure the omnibus is probably going to collect all of the Dark Knight events, Rising, the Resistance, and this one, as well as the prequel to it. But basically, this is the Red Death is. After a cataclysm event in Gotham, Batman, against Barry's advice, tries to gain speed powers and enter the Speed Force so he can be everywhere at once. When he is confronted by the Black Racer, Batman kills him and thus becomes the Speedster of Death himself. He is pale and cold and beneath the armor. This Batman is like the Black Racer, thin, quick, loosely based on the Black Racer himself, like a man who never stops running. The Merciless. After Ares causes a massive war that kills millions, Batman storms Mount Olympus and takes him down himself, subsequently becoming the god of war. He then takes it upon himself to declare war on the gods and hunts down and kills all remaining gods and mythological beings, seemingly to protect man, Wonder Woman being his final target. And you got the Devastator following the death of Superman and the subsequent rise of the 4 imposter Supermen. Batman experiments with the Doomsday genetics to prevent a fake Superman from infesting the world. When he is infected himself, he becomes the ultimate Kryptonian killing machine, ultimately eliminating the 4 imposter Supermen and Superman himself when he returns. Driven mad by the virus, he goes on to kill the Justice League, and this guy is basically, he can transform from this Batman to that one, and he's the biggest one of them all. Then you also have, let's see here, this is the Murder Machine. And after Alfred's death at the hands of Harvey Dent, Cyborg helps Bruce finish the Alfred Protocol, a program that makes the Batcomputer Alfred's consciousness. But the Alfred Protocol will do anything to protect Bruce, and so it goes on to kill all of the world's villains. When the heroes declare war on it, the Alfred Protocol turns Bruce himself into the ultimate killing machine. Infested with nanobots, he is an unstoppable, unkillable hunter, able to infect all machines to kill for him. And then you have the Drowned. When on Aquaman's watch, Ocean Master and Black Manta attack the surface, killing millions. Batman, in his world born a woman, so he's a woman, her name is Bryce Wayne, decides to take matters into her own hands. She takes over Atlantis herself, and when Arthur tries to stop her, Batman takes out Atlantis' last king. She rules the sea in a sinister submarine straight out of Jules Verne's, hunting anyone that threatens her rule. And then you have the Dawnbreaker. Reeling from his parents' death, young Bruce begs the Green Lantern Corps access to the White Lantern power ring. When he's refused, he explores the darker side of the rings and ends up becoming the leader of the Black Lanterns, able to raise the dead. He is a horror to behold, sworn to kill all life. He kills millions with his zombie army, ending with Hal himself. He is literally an undead Batman with a Black Lantern power ring based on the Black Hand. Then you have the Batman Who Laughs. This is the leader of the bunch, and by far the scariest. When Batman finally decides to kill the Joker proves he has one last trick up his sleeve, a special toxin that only releases when his heart stops. This is what Joker had been waiting for during his whole battle with the Dark Knight, to turn Batman into the thing he hates the most, meaning him. The Joker, and upon Joker's death, Batman's infected with the worst strain of the Joker virus ever, and becomes his planet's ultimate villain. He is evil incarnate, he is the strongest and scariest of the Dark Knights, and basically, that's why he's such a, I would say definitely a scary villain in that aspect. There you go. So that's really cool. I really, really enjoyed Dark Knight's Metal, guys. You can definitely get it at Organic Price Books. This is the, I would say the best version, the absolute version. The absolute version of Dark Metals is going to come out later in 2023. And then the omnibus for this one comes out, I believe, in January of 2023. So you can get those as well. But I love the absolute version. I think it looks great. The metal, it looks really cool. It's definitely unique. It definitely fits the whole theme of the metal event that was going on. And look, it's so shiny. So definitely my recommendation, if you want to get the story, if you want to just collect it, absolute version is the definite version. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Tell me if you like this deep dive. And I will see you in the next one. David out.